Hey there all you cool cats and kittens. I'm just kidding. Today we're gonna make scones. British scones. Now for a while I thought I didn't like scones because I've just had the American kind, the tri-corn kind that you get in the coffee shop. It's like freaking hard as a rock and it has those like really fat sugar granules on top. They're really crunchy. I wasn't vibing with it. I didn't like it. So I thought I just didn't like scones. Then I started watching Great British Bake Off and I was like, maybe I would like scones if they were these scones. Because those were nice and soft and buttery and flaky. So really simple recipe, really only a handful of ingredients. You need a cup of self-raising flour. I don't have self-raising flour, so all-purpose with a teaspoon and a half of baking powder and half a teaspoon of salt is just fine. 5 ounces of milk, an ounce of caster sugar or powdered sugar, they're the same thing. 2 ounces of butter, chilled and cubed, a pinch of salt, a beaten egg for glazing, and a cookie cutter. Or you could be like me and improvise because I haven't made this in a while and I don't know where my cookie cutter is. So this is a pudding cup. I cut the rim off and then I cut a little hole in the bottom just to allow for the airflow. So the first thing you're gonna do is preheat your oven to around 400 to 425 degrees Fahrenheit. It depends really on the size of the cookie cutter that you have or the size of the scones that are gonna be. So I did about 410 and I'm just gonna kind of keep an eye on them. It's a very forgiving recipe. So first, you're gonna combine your flour and your salt in a bowl together. Now mine's gonna look a lot bigger than yours because I doubled the recipe. I find that this just does not yield as much as I want. So I went ahead and doubled it. It doubles just fine. So then you are going to rub in your cubed butter. I have it here. And really, generally, I try to chill my butter for as long as I possibly can because I just find this is such a soft dough that I find that the colder the ingredients are when you are starting to work with them, the more manageable the dough is because it really just gets kind of sticky and it's just a lot easier if it's cold. So I don't use a mixer for any of this. What I'm doing is I'm just kind of taking a handful of this mixture of this butter and flour and I'm just kind of squeezing it. You can put on a movie, go watch Tiger King. You could really do anything and you'll start to know whenever the butter is kind of mixed up because you won't feel any more of those little flashes of cold against your fingers. You'll just kind of feel this uniform, crummy, kind of thick texture. And it starts to smell amazing. I don't know what the heck the smell is. Like, I could smell this for hours. Where is my freshly crumbed flour Victoria's Secret candle? I want that, please. My body splash. Now, if you are somebody with a weak grip or arthritis or something with carpal tunnel that prevents you from gripping really hard and consistently, which I understand because this kind of takes a little bit, you could maybe use a potato masher. Possibly. I've never used one before and I don't know if it's maybe more trouble than it's worth to get all of the little bits out of the holes, but you could try it and maybe let me know what you think about it. I think this is too dry of a step to use a mixer, and plus it's kind of fun to use your hands, you know? Okay, so this is the finished product of whenever your flour and your butter are all crumbed together. And as you see, it kind of looks like it holds shape for a brief moment, but then it quickly crumbles apart. That's really what you're looking for. Just kind of gently sift through, make sure that you don't have any little butter lumps. And it kind of looks like movie magic sand. Yeah, so that's really what you're looking for. So then at this point, you're going to stir in your caster sugar and then starting to stir in your milk to get that really soft dough. Okay, so adding in our sugar here. Mix that up. And then your milk. Now I do add this kind of in 2 parts just to make sure. I actually will use this. Just roughly combine them. You'll soon be able to start to feel the gluten start to build up when it'll sort of become a little more gluey and start to resist you a little bit. And if you need to, if you feel like you need a little bit more flour, then you can always add a little bit more. Like I think I might need to add a little more flour just to be safe. Okay, so at this point, you have a nice, soft, sticky dough. I wound up adding about a half a cup more flour. No worries. So this should be kind of how the dough will react, a little bit sticky. So I recommend trying to handle it as little as possible once you pour it out onto the work surface. Now, my little trick to handling this dough, since it is such a soft dough, is just use some cooking spray. Spray it just very lightly to coat your hands. You don't need a lot because you don't want this to be super oily, but it does help you to be able to handle it. So now let's throw this down on our work surface. Okay, so you're gonna knead this super lightly. Again, being careful not to handle it too much. It's a nice soft dough, so it's actually pretty pleasant to knead, except for when you're me and filming a video and you have it stacked on top of 2 pizza boxes and you can't press down too hard. So just kind of be flouring every once in a while to make sure it doesn't stick down. As I said, it is a very sticky dough. Just kind of give it a nice knead. Kind of getting it to wake up. I'm really doing a number on these pizza. Let's see. So we're just giving this, see what I mean, it's very sticky. Giving this a nice little knead just to make sure that it kind of wakes up and remembers, hey, we're cooking today. So nothing too crazy. You want to make sure that it's kind of in one piece. Any seams that you see, just try to kind of press those out. It really is a nice feeling dough. Like if you're ever feeling sad and you just want some baked goods and you're just lazy, this is a nice dough because it's very forgiving. Now you're just going to very gently roll this out. You're aiming for it to be about 2 centimeters or 3/4 of an inch thick. My work surface is sliding around, so I think I'm gonna grab a washcloth. Here's a quick trick. If you ever find that your work surface is sliding a lot, just put a damp washcloth underneath it and it should help to provide a little bit of friction there. Okay, so that looks about good. So now we're gonna take our little cutters and we're just gonna start cutting. And as you pop these off of here, you can put them on a greased baking sheet. Overall, the purpose of baking is just to have fun. Don't stress yourself out. If yours don't look perfect, goodness knows these do not look perfect, then don't worry because they're gonna taste really good. And even if they don't taste really good, you can just douse them in butter and jam and they are gonna taste amazing no matter what. Maybe tell me below what your favorite combination to put on this sort of thing is. Are you a jam and butter person? Are you a honey and butter person? Are you honey and peanut butter? Are you jam and clotted cream? I'm jam and clotted cream if I can get my booty up to make it. Yeah, these are gonna be little short scones. No one said I was a professional baker. And then like a baker's dozen of people on Quarantine Kitchen will be like, oh, you know, I just had things lying around. I'm making star anise scones with baby's breath. Yeah, right. The purpose of quarantine kitchen is to be quarantined. Ah! See, I'm definitely proof that you can bake and not be perfect. And you're just gonna pat it out again. Also, please do not send me unsolicited technique advice. I know I'm not very good. I would not like to be told on how to be better. I'm content in my amateur nature. Go ahead and paint our little babies with egg wash. All right, so now our little babies are going in the oven. Set them in there for somewhere between 12 and 15 minutes. So I'd say probably like, I'll start out at 20 minutes and then my house will burn down. Now I'll start it at 12 minutes and then we'll just see. Okay, so these are the finished product. Now I made mine a little bit too short. As you can see, I rolled it a little bit too thin. I was a little overzealous in that. And my mold was a lot larger than it usually is. But that being said, if you use around a 2-inch or 5-centimeter cookie cutter to make these, then the cool thing about them is you can see a little bit on this one, I guess. They sort of have that little dip in the middle here. And if they rise properly, they actually kind of rise and then chunk off into a top and a bottom chunk. So you can literally just like pull them apart and it's a perfect little scone sandwich. So nice golden brown on them. And I just tried one. I had a little sample one and it was super good. So enjoy, and if you have any questions, let me know. And yeah, happy baking.